Buy to let, thatched, commercial. We're your high street insurance brokers for all types of insurance. Avoid faceless internet firms.
High House Insurance, do it face to face.
See Neil and the friendly team at High Street Selsey.
High House Insurance, do it face to face.
Or call Selsey 606 552.
Hello and a warm welcome to Selsey Internet Radio. I'm Tony Weiner. On the show this week, Belinda Gannon explains what Resonate is all about. Margaret Goodman tells us about the arrangements for this year's Selsey Gardens. Lynne's recipe is chocolate chip cookies, a firm favourite with everybody, including the youngsters. Our local celebrity Nick Jones gives us a short précis of what he's been up to. And then it's over to Giles for gardening tips. But before all that, Pat Reed's going to tell us what's on in Selsey.
Hi, I'm Pat Reed, and this is some of what's on in Selsey for week commencing Monday the 19th of May. On Wednesday the 21st of May, the Crafty Natter Club will be holding their meeting between 2 and 4 p.m. at Selsey Methodist Church, where they meet on the first and third Wednesdays of each month. There are demonstrations of all types of crafts, and you are invited to bring along any projects you are currently working on. Tea and coffee will be served, and for more information contact Lisa on 601032. Also on Wednesday the 21st of May, the Selsey Time Bank will be holding a drop-in session and coffee morning at the Town Hall. These sessions are held on the first and third Wednesday of each month. On Thursday the 22nd of May, the De Levante restaurant and tapas bar in the High Street are holding a live flamenco night. I'm told this is the last one of the season, and for more information telephone 603906 during opening hours. The Selsey Model Boat Club also have their meeting on Wednesday the 21st of May at 4 p.m. until 6 at the Pond at East Beach Car Park. Also on Sundays from 10 a.m. until noon, weather permitting. New members are very welcome, or just come along to watch. Looking ahead, we mustn't forget St Peter's Church Annual Spring Fair on Bank Holiday Monday the 26th of May between noon and 3 p.m. This will be a fun-packed afternoon with many stalls, and for the first time a fun dog show. There will be a strawberry tea tent, and lunches will also be served. For entry forms for the dog show, telephone 077 1973 5852. That's all for now, until next time.
Thank you, Pat. And now, Resonate? Well, Belinda Gannon is going to explain all about that in a discussion with Hugh.
Right, it's Hugh Graham for Selsey Internet Radio, talking to Belinda Gannon. And Belinda is inviting us all in Selsey to make music.
That's right.
Why should we do that, Belinda?
Because it's just a wonderful experience for all of us. It makes us feel good, it can lift our spirits, it can improve our physical health and well-being, and it's great fun.
Well, I suppose it's true. Soldiers used to march behind bands when they went into combat.
They did.
So, what should we bring with us? Where are we going to meet?
We meet at the Selsey Medical Centre at 6:30. The next session is on Thursday, the 22nd of May.
Right.
And it starts, everybody is asked to come at 6:30, and we start promptly at 6:45.
What do we start promptly doing?
We start making music.
How do we make music? Is it just singing?
No, absolutely not just singing. We clap, we beatbox, we play instruments, we stamp, we do all sorts of sound making. Whatever the group feels like doing, we do.
And how many people did you have last week?
Last week we had 10 people. We had 6 people who were registered with the practice, and we had some people from the medical centre as well.
So is there any health side to this?
I personally am not a medical practitioner, but the benefits are what music do for you. Our hearts can all beat together. You find that synchronicity happens. Great for your breathing, improving your breathing capacity, because we do hold some lovely notes. If anyone was walking past Budgeon's car park last Thursday, they'd have heard us.
Music certainly makes me feel better from time to time. And I also choose music to suit my mood.
Yes.
All right, at the moment I'm playing Ride of the Valkyries. Thea, you went last week. What did you think of it?
I thought it was absolutely brilliant. I loved every minute of it. When I first arrived, I wondered what the hell was happening, I must admit, and I kept very quiet. And then all of a sudden I thought, oh, I want to do this. Now, I sing very badly. I sing at the top of my voice and it can be very loud, but not pleasant. But it's like getting in touch with the child inside you. You can forget all your outside.
Oh, so it suit me then?
It would definitely suit you, but I think you're already in touch.
So what about Mike? Would it suit Mike?
It would, yes, I think it
So
would.
we can get him. So we actually going to sort out the child in Mike too.
I think everybody has a child that
Certainly do.
Belinda can get in touch with so easily. It's such fun.
My wife says I entered my second childhood 10 years ago. Belinda, come on, what do we have to bring with us?
You need to just bring an open mind,
Yeah.
a willingness to try something new, and trust, actually. Trust that all the group are going to look after each other. Everybody's contribution is absolutely perfect and valid and wanted.
So it's fun.
It's total fun.
And you guarantee I'll enjoy myself.
I guarantee, because you can't go wrong. There's no such thing as a wrong note.
So you haven't heard me singing.
There's no such thing as a wrong note. You can't make a mistake.
All right, fine. So let's go through it again. When's the next date?
The next date is Thursday, the 22nd of May,
The time?
6:30. You need to arrive at 6:30 because we start
Right.
at 6:45
And where?
at Selsey Medical Centre.
And you get onto the list by doing what?
Simply just popping in. I think you can even just phone them up actually and put your name on the list. It's just so that we can monitor numbers, that's all. You don't need to give away your bank details or anything like that. We just want your name.
All right, fine.
And it's free.
Oh, and it's free.
Free?
But we need to get
You
the
mean
numbers
as
up.
in nothing?
No money passes.
All right, I'll see. Will you be there, Theo? Okay, I'll be there. What about you, Mike?
I'll certainly hope to be.
Okay, fine. We'll all see you there
I
then.
can't wait.
And I am going to bring a comb and a piece of lavatory paper.
I'm going to be interested to see what sound you can make.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Hugh. I, for one, never knew that went on in Selsey. And now it's over to Margaret Goodman, who's going to tell us about the hugely popular Selsey Gardens Open Day and the arrangements for this year.
It's Hugh Graham for Selsey Internet Radio, and I'm talking with Margaret Goodman, who's the organiser of the Selsey Gardens Open Day, which this year is when?
It's taking place on Sunday the 22nd of June from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Okay, so that's Selsey Gardens Open Day. How many gardens are going to be open?
To date I've got 14 with the possibility of having more if anyone else is still interested in coming forward to open and take part in this day that raises money for two local charities, the St Wilfrid's Hospice and the Alzheimer's Society of West Sussex.
Okay. Now, this is the fourth year or fifth year you've
This
run?
is the fifth year.
Okay. How much money have you raised so far for local charities?
Over £17,000.
That's wonderful, isn't it?
Yes, very proud of that figure.
Okay. And how many people have actually looked at gardens?
I've added up the total number over 4 years and it's 2,179 visitors.
And they've all visited all the gardens that were available, or they just chosen one or two?
They've probably just chosen one or two. Some people decide to go and see all of them, and people jump on their bikes and cycle around Selsey as a family sometimes. Or it may just be they cherry pick ones that are particularly of interest to them.
Yeah.
I can only say the total number that comes through the gates. Each garden that opens tends to take a note of how many have gone through each year. It's become a little bit of a competition between the garden owners as to who may have had the most visitors through their garden gates each year.
Who was the gardener, or who was the garden last year that had the most visitors?
Mine.
Really?
Yes.
And how many visitors did you have?
Last year I had 540.
What, traipsing through your garden?
Yes, but not all at once. Because that figure sounds terrifying to people if they hear that. On average, 20 people at the most at any given time, which is a totally manageable number.
And they didn't do any damage?
No damage whatsoever. Gardeners are really nice people, and they come because they're interested and inquisitive and always looking for ideas for their own gardens.
Oh, okay. So it's an inspirational trip too?
Very much so. And also people...
And do they swap tips?
Yes.
Like, how did you grow that? Where did that come from?
Yes.
Has that grown well there?
They asked that. They're also interested in... I tend to label my plants now because I found that each year there's always going to be a firm favourite. 2 years ago, everyone was interested in a scabious I had.
Yeah.
It was magnificent. The following year, when I'd done lots of cuttings and saved seeds, it wasn't in flower. Nobody wanted that plant that year. People tend to like to be able to see a plant in flower to be attracted to want to purchase it.
Okay. Now, have you always been interested in gardening?
Yes. It goes back to when I was a little girl. I was born in West Kensington in London, and we had a very small postage stamp of a garden. And my father was a very keen allotment owner. And as a little girl, I was taken up and given a little square and encouraged to grow candy tuft and daffodils. And the vegetable I was allowed to grow was a marrow, and I was able to carve my name in it when it was small and see as this marrow grew large, my name, Margaret, being displayed. I've never forgotten that.
So your name got larger too?
It did indeed. In fact, I've never done it since. Perhaps I should try and do it one
Maybe you
year.
should do it this year.
Perhaps I should.
Yeah. Now, all right. So, if people want to get hold of an entry form, or do they buy tickets, or do they buy?
Yes.
Well, what do they buy?
There's an admission ticket which everybody needs to have to get through to see all the gardens. It will be available on Saturday the 24th of May.
How much do they cost?
£5. This is the 5th year this event has been organised, and we've managed to keep the admission fee to £5, and that's to see all the gardens.
So £5 to go and see
all
14
the
gardens.
Absolutely.
It's a good value, isn't it?
I think it's a good value day out.
Yeah.
And it's not only gardens, we've got allotments. The Selsey Allotment Society took part for the first time last year, the ones in Park Lane. And this year there's a second group of allotments, 25 new ones in Mill Lane, and they too are taking part, which is great. And particularly at the moment there's a lot of interest in growing. People wish to grow their own vegetables again.
Sure.
What else have we got this year? 8 new gardens this year.
Yeah.
So even if you've been before, there's lots of new things to see. There will be cakes and teas on sale. It's always rather nice to sit down and relax halfway round and enjoy someone else's hard work while you enjoy a cup of tea and a nice piece of cake.
It also gives you a wonderful opportunity to poke about someone else's house and garden, doesn't it?
Not the house, but certainly the garden.
Okay.
But I can honestly say I have never seen anybody to try and take a secret cutting.
Really?
Yes, we have a lot of helpers in our gardens because you need to, and no one has ever said they've seen someone trying to take a little secret cutting. So I think that's quite reassuring, really.
So if you don't expect to see somebody walking in with a pair of secateurs sticking out of their hip pocket.
Certainly not. They'd probably be a lot more subtle than that.
All right. Now, if somebody is thinking about opening their garden, I'm sure an awful lot of people will be listening to this and thinking, well, my garden's not good enough. How do you decide whether your garden is good enough? Or more importantly, how do you decide whether their garden is good enough?
Well, the first thing I say is Selsey, not Chelsea.
Yeah.
And we're not the National Garden Scheme either. And the bottom line of this day is, yes, it needs to be a garden that you feel other people would come and want to look at and enjoy. Also, I think you get a lot of feedback from people, and people should get in touch with me, even if they're just not sure whether it's something they want to do, because I can go around and just chat through what's involved with opening. It doesn't have to involve too much. You don't have to do teas and coffees. You can just open your garden and just enjoy the day with the visitors coming through.
All right, so let's just refresh it again. What day is Garden Day?
It's Sunday the 22nd of June.
It starts at what time?
11 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Tickets cost £5.
Tickets are £5.
And that gives you entry to 14
to all
gardens.
14 gardens.
Wonderful. I'm going to go and have a look myself.
I shall look forward to meeting you in my garden, which is Wessex Lodge.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Hugh.
Thanks a lot, Margaret.
My word, they are extremely popular. Thank you very much, Margaret. And over to Lynne talking to Hugh about chocolate chip cookies.
We're talking to Lynne again from Tuppeny Roast, and we're talking about chocolate chip cookies.
Yes,
right,
everybody's
okay.
favourite. This recipe is quite nice one, Hugh, because they're gooey. They're nice gooey in the middle.
Yeah.
So you get the outside's done quite nicely and the into it, and you get the gooey middle.
Okay,
all right?
fine.
Children love to make this with their parents. Just watch them with the oven, of course, and they just love to get their hands into it and see them come out the oven. So for this, then we want 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour. For me, that's the self-raising. All right. 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 cup of unsalted butter, which we need to soften down. In fact, you could even melt it. It wouldn't matter, and leave it to cool. 1 3/4 cups of light brown sugar. You'll notice I'm doing cups because children will more easily use cups and ounces and things. And then you want a teaspoonful of pure vanilla extract, which you can get anywhere you like. You want 2 large eggs and some block chocolate. I don't like to buy the chocolate chips in the packets. They just don't do it for me. So get some block chocolate and cut it into small chunks, all right? But slightly larger chunks than you would get in your chocolate chip. You want to be able to bite your teeth into them. It's a really, really simple recipe, this one. We just need to mix all of the dry ingredients together into a bowl and set them aside, all right?
Yeah.
Mix the melted butter and the sugar. You remember I said you can melt the butter and cool it a bit. And the sugar, either by hand or electric, but you can do it by hand, really, really easy, until it's really well blended. And then you can beat in an egg yolk, all right, and the vanilla.
Okay.
So from one of the eggs you need to separate. Do you know how to separate the eggs? Quite easily.
But
Do our viewers know? Can you see me?
we haven't got viewers. We've only got listeners.
Okay. Well, this is how we're going to do it. There's 2 ways to do it. Either you can break the egg into half, break the shells into half, and slowly tip one to the other, excluding the yolk, so that you're left with one yolk in the top of your one half of the eggshell, which is what I do. Or a lot of the chefs today, I notice, just literally break them into their hand and let the albumin run through the fingers, so that they're left with an egg yolk like that.
I
So
think
really,
that's
really,
showing off.
yeah, I do too. But I wouldn't like the feel of it really. But there you go. A lot of people do it. I suppose it's quick and easy. I think showing off is actually doing it from one egg to the other, isn't it? Anyway, beat in an egg yolk and the extra egg and your vanilla. So 1 whole egg, 1 just egg yolk, which is what's going to give you that sticky texture, and the vanilla. Spoon the dough onto a baking sheet, making each about 2.5 inches apart. So you've got a sticky kind of a dough. It's droppable from a spoon. It drops on, like you're making drop scones. About 2.5 inches apart, and bake until they're light golden brown and the edges start to harden, but the centre is still soft. So it's about 15 minutes, 16 minutes, not much more than that. And then you're going to cool and remove them from the baking sheet. It really is a lovely recipe for the children, and I tell you what, they like to try and separate the eggs. I mean, what's an egg for that little bit of pleasure for them, isn't it? Yeah. You know what I mean? And they love to do it. So get them doing some cookies, and then they can store them in a nice little airtight tin or a jar and have one when they're good. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure that my grandchildren will love those.
Yes, I'm sure they will.
All right, thanks a lot, Liz.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Excellent. Thanks, Lynn. And now over to Hugh, talking to our local celebrity of Star and Stage, Mr. Nick Jones.
It's Hugh Graham for Selsey Internet Radio, and I'm talking with a Selsey celebrity, Nick Jones. Nick, tell me about your celebrity status.
My celebrity status is nil, I think. I think it's pretty well nil. I am a celebrity unknown quantity, and the quantity is at the moment nil.
Well, that's not true for a start, because you produced the wonderful Passion Play on Good Friday, didn't you?
Well, that's very nice of you to say that. Yes, I did, and I've done a lot of amateur theatre all my life. Yeah, Passion Play I enjoyed. It was tremendous. I think we've spoken about that before, haven't we, Hugh? And just to reiterate, really, what a wonderful experience it was, and I think the cast got a lot out of it, and I'm sure the 300 people who came and saw it did likewise.
Okay, but although this was you were directing that, weren't you?
Mm.
And you directed a number of local productions?
Yes, I've directed for West Wittering.
Yeah.
A number of plays for West Wittering. I've performed on the stage for West Wittering as well.
Performed on the stage doing what?
Acting in plays.
Well,
acting in plays. Many plays I have done. I've probably done in my lifetime well over 100 productions.
Really?
Oh yes, yeah, well over.
So what was your favourite role?
I don't know really what was my favourite role. I suppose really the thing I really enjoyed doing most was pantomime, being the dame in the pantomime. That's what I really enjoyed doing.
Well, you had a lot in common then with Patrick Moore, because he used to like playing the Demon King in the Selsey pantomime.
Yes, he did. Yes, it is communication with the audience.
Yeah.
It's knocking down that third wall.
Also, you can make it up as you go along, can't you?
Well, you can to an extent, but you must remember the people you're working with. You must remember the cues, give them a chance to come in and speak, and you've got to remember that you need the cues from them so you can speak as well. So yes,
so
in between.
Provided you remember the lines in and the lines out, anything in the middle is okay.
Well, to a certain degree, yes. I don't think the directors who directed me would actually agree with that statement. They like to think that, but as long as the gist was there, my wife used to say.
Okay.
As long as you get the gist, you're all right.
Okay, now. So how old were you when you first trod the boards?
Oh, I was about 10, I suppose. I was doing gang shows when I was a cub and scout. I did a Ralph Reader play, whose name I can't recall now. And I played a character called Muzzy. Wonderful write-up in the local paper. And they said, a star is born. And, the bug was bit. And from then on, I've been in amateur theatre in one way or another all my life.
You enjoyed it?
Oh, I loved it, yes. I loved it.
Apart from the fact that are people who like treading on the boards or being on stage, are they all sort of a little bit of an exhibitionist?
I think you've got to be. Yes. You've got to be prepared to go out there and do your best. I've always said that if an audience comes and sees you, it doesn't matter if they've paid or if they've paid lots of money, they deserve to see the best you can give at that time.
Okay.
Now, I don't approve at all of people going on stage, not knowing the lines properly, not knowing and playing about. That's not the thing what it's all about. Amateur theatre is to give your best, and we don't want a bad name given to amateur theatre by people who really don't give of their best.
Okay. All right. So, but you've had an interesting life apart from your amateur theatrical.
Oh yes, I have. I've certainly had a very interesting life. I was part of the team that were the first people to bring self-service petrol into this country.
Really?
How about that? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, self-service petrol back in the late 60s.
How much was a gallon then?
I don't know. I mean, I can remember when I first started to drive, you would get 5 gallons for £1. 4 gallons for £1, not 5. 4 gallons for £1, 5 shillings. When I was selling it, I can remember very well that when it went to £1 a gallon, people were saying they'd never drive again. Now, of course, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And of course, when it would change from gallonage price to litrage price, it looked as though it dropped down in price as far as when you were driving past.
Yeah.
But they were good times.
I also remember walking into Manhood Builders Merchants and seeing you there.
Yes, I've been there. Yes, when I came to Selsey, I worked in various little jobs, and then I got offered the shop, Rudwick's, the shop in the High Street.
Yeah.
I ran that for 10 years. Did very well, actually. I think I did very well. I think I had a very loyal customer base.
Yeah.
And it built up very well. And then when I sold it on to the people who are still there now, and they're doing equally as well. No, it's nice little business, Rudwick's.
And what are you doing now? Because you haven't retired, you're obviously still...
No, I haven't retired, no.
Cherry picking, whatever it is you want to do.
In my early 70s, but I like to think that as long as I can breathe, I can work.
Right.
So I'm breathing still. Wake up in the morning. So I'm working at the East Beach stores.
Yeah.
East Beach, Sunday and Monday. Sunday morning and Monday morning I'm there. And then for the rest of my time, well, not the rest of the time, but when work is available, I work for the Tote.
Doing what?
Horse racing. We're at the horse race track.
Yeah, but so taking money and
take the money and then give the money back to the lucky winners. Yes.
Okay. And you do that all over the country?
I go everywhere. I've just got back from Aintree for the Grand National. We were at Cheltenham for the big festival meeting there. Ascot tomorrow, and then Goodwood starts on Saturday the 3rd of May. Okay. And then Goodwood has got quite an extensive fixture list.
And there's still plenty of money around for betting there?
Oh, it certainly is, yes. You work in certain areas of the racecourse and they're still betting 100s, 500s.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
Nicky, it's been wonderful talking to you. You're certainly one of Selsey's winners. So we'll hear from you again soon.
Well, thank you very much, Hugh, for inviting me to speak to you.
My word, an interesting life. And now it's over to Giles for his gardening tips.
Good afternoon, Giles.
Hello, Hugh. How are you today?
All right. It's a bit blustery, but
yeah, it's a bit blustery, but at least it's not raining. The rain's gone, so probably nice to look out at the sea now. I imagine it'd be quite to see the ebb tide of tides going in around. Yeah.
Okay, so what we got for?
Well, we're this month we're in now. It's very nice out and about because the trees at the minute are absolutely lovely, soft green and fresh looking. They really are at their best, if you like, going around now. It's so everything looks so really good in the countryside. I'm sure you'll agree.
Yep.
And out in the fields, the oats are green now, and then they're growing well. And also round, we don't have so much here, but you do see the odd field of yellow rape, which is quite colourful, but not good for anyone who suffers from hay fever. It's very bad for that, as you probably know.
Yep.
The hawthorn is still a massive bloom. It's still looking very very nice in the hedges, and it makes one sort of feel alive, I think, that seeing that lovely white like confetti. I'd like to just say something here. Oh, Maytime, fold your fleeting wing and let it be forever spring.
And nice.
I think that sums this month up very well indeed.
Yeah.
Regarding getting into the garden, well, I'm saying getting into the garden, I'm actually talking about into the greenhouse now. It's a good idea, especially not necessarily the greenhouse or indoors even. Anyone who hasn't got a large garden maybe, or who might not have no garden even, to sow some indoor freesias now would be a nice idea. They can be done indoors, as I say, sow them in a seed container. Soak the seeds for 24 hours before so putting them in the compost.
Well, in water?
In water, yeah. And the freesias will later on, they will give you an absolutely wonderful display of flowers, and obviously they, as you probably know, they have a wonderful scent.
Yes, absolutely.
So for anyone, as I say, who has got a limited space, well, it doesn't, or even anyone at all can do it, but they are ideal to have them in the house, and you have this wonderful scent as well as the lovely flowers. The other thing I'd like to mention about now is to getting on with it now. Probably hold it back maybe a little bit longer, but certainly start planting up hanging basket tubs and containers, if not already done, with summer flowers, the usual cornflowers, candy tuft, marigolds, nasturtiums, you name it, whatever people like, because there are a lot about. And it's a good idea to get that underway now, certainly. And the other thing which is a good idea is to liliums, especially Lilium regale. They provide a great show in the autumn, so it's a good idea to plant the liliums up now in pots in the greenhouse. Start them in there, and they will, as you know, they'll give a lovely display, the liliums in the autumn. So that's worth doing.
What about hanging baskets, John?
Yeah, hanging baskets to be done, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But not to put outside.
No.
Not yet, because, even looking at today, say it's quite cold and quite fresh.
Yeah.
And if they'll be quite tender, so I'd say...
So what sort of flowers do you recommend for
I would not recommend in the sense that there's so many, as I say. There are quite, the ones I like personally, I like hanging nasturtiums coming over the side.
Yes, I do too.
I think they give a good spray of colour. And then I also like candy tuft.
Yeah.
And I like cornflowers.
Yeah.
The shorter ones, obviously, not the too tall. And I like, probably I'd say, stocks again are very nice. You can get a smaller variety of them.
Okay, yeah.
But I say it's very hard to say because everyone has their own personal favourites, and I'm sure you have yourself.
Oh, I think that's true.
And there's a vast.
What can you do to help retain the moisture in the basket?
The main thing to do is underplant it with some moss.
Yeah.
And then really just top it up, because the
Should you feed them?
Not to begin with, no.
Right.
Once they sort of start coming into flower, then yes, probably every week.
Okay.
But not straight away, no, because you'll be actually putting much to the feed. Will just be giving you a lot of foliage.
Okay.
And less flowering.
All right.
And there's a few little tips this week. If anyone's got an old ironing board, keep it, because you can use it for sewing and potting, like a table.
Yeah.
And it's also a great thing is, of course, it's got an adjustable height.
Yeah.
And you can fold it away.
Yeah.
So don't throw, anyone who's got one or an ironing board, don't throw it away, use it.
Okay.
And then another thing little tip is, when some people have a lot of algae on ponds, an old colander is a very good way of getting it out.
Oh, what a lovely idea.
Scooping it out with a colander.
Okay.
So that's another little item. Another little interesting fact is place 1-inch pieces of rhubarb into each hole when you're planting out cabbage or other brassicas, and the acid from the rhubarb will prevent diseases such as club rot.
Really?
Yeah. So that's
really interesting.
And then another little thing is get old CDs, string them on a bit of wire or string, and put them up, and they'll scare birds and cats away from wherever you want, because the flashing mirror effect they will give in the breeze is very effective. And another little small thing, don't use a 12-inch pot for anything when a 4-inch pot will do. Hats too large or too small look ridiculous.
Okay, thanks a lot there, Giles. See you next week.
Yeah, cheers.
Thanks, Giles. That's all for this week. Thanks for listening, and goodbye from myself and the team. Bye.